Have you sustained a bone, joint, work, or sports injury? Problems with mobility or movement? Suffer with pain? Contact Azalea Orthopedics. Our specialists serve patients across East Texas. For proven, trusted medical care, you have a choice. Demand Azalea.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special State Contenders edition of the weekly wrap-up show. It's your boy Brett Swinney here, and I've got the usual suspects. I'd like to introduce Mr. Prince V83, Vincent Johnson. What's going on, Vince?
What's up, man? What's up? It's been a minute.
It has. It has been a while. What's been going on in your world since we last had you on a show?
Since last time I was on the show?
Yeah,
man,
you got some big news coming up, man. There's something going on in your life.
Well, there's an addition to the family coming.
Oh man,
that's major. But I've just been grinding and working and just holding it down, waiting on football season as usual.
Awesome. All right, then also the man of many theories, Mr. CM Corey Marshall. What's going on, Corey?
What's going on? Trying to clear my throat. Got some apple juice.
Yeah,
got some apple juice going.
You ready to talk some football, Corey?
I am ready to talk some football. It's about that time. It's too hot out there to do anything else. I don't want to talk about anything else. I want to talk about football today.
No, that's good because we got a special edition tonight of the State Contenders edition. We're going to go 4A, 3A, 2A in East Texas, our coverage zone. We're going to talk who we think can make deep runs this year in these classifications. And, we talk about all the time, we've got a Beast from the East show coming, and there are some beasts in the East Texas area this year. And we'll start with 4A Division I. And guys, I know we may sound biased in here, but we're speaking facts this year. There's only one legit contender this year. There's some others that are on the edge that we may talk about. But Chapel Hill, this has got to be their year, right, guys?
Man, go ahead, Corey.
It's tough.
It's hard. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it.
It's kind of like you don't want to jinx it, but, the team's got a lot of returning, I think 15 offense, 15 starters total.
15
returning both sides of the football.
difference there.
You know, that's massive.
And guys, there's a lot of D1 guys. I saw today when we were recording this, Javen Mayfield committed to SFA.
Yeah.
So shout out to Javen.
So it's you got to put the package together. It's going to take a complete season. I think they got over the hump of some of the district foes, Kilgore and Lindale, last year. But they got a pretty decent. They owe some guys in preseason. They owe some guys in preseason one. So, but most importantly, it's about the gauntlet is going. They got to the level last year where they faced a team. I think they just ran out of gas because they didn't put together a very good postseason. I know they went 5 rounds, but with the 5 rounds they were down a lot early, so they didn't put together a pretty good postseason run. They were down early and didn't finish a lot of the games, so they kind of ran out of gas. So that team's young, and Coach Ridden's, his sophomores and juniors, that was a senior laden team somewhat last year. Not a senior laden, but they had a lot of good players as seniors. Now those guys are juniors. That sophomore laden team, a lot of those guys are juniors now. So he's got about a good 2-year run. This year's may be his peak year. So he may have about a good 2 years, with a good group. So we'll see. But obviously they're the number one team in Region 1 in my book, and they just got to put it together.
All right, Vince, give us your thoughts on Chapel Hill this season.
I think they can make a deep run, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like they don't have a heck of a hill to climb, because you still got China Springs. That is just amazing every year, it feels like. There is still Bernie, who kind of was a brick wall for us last year.
We slept on Bernie last year, and and
that's massive. And it wasn't like it was like, oh well, we just lost the game. It was landslide.
Yeah.
It was so you got an uphill battle. So I'm gonna give some shout outs to them. Chapel Hill definitely looks like the team that can get the furthest, based off the fact that they're bringing back about 15 starters, like Corey said. But we got some people that's been there, and they continue to stay in that range. They live in that final, those final postseason games. So it's an uphill battle, but definitely Chapel Hill is one of those contenders.
Well, they've got a lot of dogs coming back. I mean, you're talking about Demetrius Brisbane, Ricky Stewart, two SMU commits. Also, you've got outside, you've got Javen Mayfield, recently just, like I said, just committed to SFA. You've got Cameron Kelly out there on the outside, Devron Dean, some high-powered weapons, but you forget about, you got Dylan Drummond, highly recruited offensive lineman, and Pablo Martinez as well. They've got
some going to Navy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Going to Navy.
Yeah, and so you've got that front line, I think, is going to be key, because you lost a 4-year starter in Kevion Huddleston, and he played both ways, and that's basically 2 guys you're losing. You lost Tyson Berry, Deuce McGregor, some key skill guys, but I think they've got some guys to step up and can necessarily replace them, but fill those roles. So I think my key for them, honestly, is Coach McFarland in that defense. If they can continue to do, they've got Trevor Brooks and Day Ross in the middle there at the linebacker positions. If he can coach those guys up and they can improve like they did last year, that's going to be the key for Chapel. I think they're going to sling it around. They're going to be high powered. They've got the horses and the dogs that can do it. No pun intended. But
winning is not going to have anything to do with their output on the field. Mm-hmm. It's going to be with everything between the ears.
Yeah,
because you got everything it takes.
What happened last year?
You got to put it together.
In the Gilmer game, Corey, right out of the box last year, you turned the ball over 7 times, and still they didn't lose by, but maybe was it a couple touchdowns? Even with that.
Yeah. Like Corey said,
you got to they didn't put together a complete game. When they put together a complete game, they dominated the game. But it's hard pressed when you put together. It's like they played in spurts, and you can't play foot. You can play basketball in spurts, But you can't play football in spurts. You have to play a
Not against
complete
them
game.
teams that are at the top, that are ranked that high. You got to play perfect football against them.
Exactly.
They'll cut you with their
Is
mistake. With
this
your mistake. So
is this a segue to Division Two? Because I have a perfect segue to Division Two.
go ahead.
I got one more thing though, Corey. No, I got
Okay.
to talk to Coach Reardon, and this segues also to our new show we're going to do, the Old Dog Show here on NETSN. Me, Corey, and Vince are going to talk Chapel Hill football, kind of like we're doing right now, but in a broad, more in-depth segment. We're going to have Coach Reardon, who I got to talk to on each week. We'll have a segment with him and get some players. It's going to be a lot of fun. So those that want to listen, we'll have it on our podcast and YouTube channel. But what I got out of him is he's got guys that can step up, and he's got the program now clicking where it's not one of those rebuilding, it's just reloading. And that's the word he used. And to me, a couple of years ago, we were worried about replacing the Brack Dyers, the Solomon McFoys of the world. But now you're losing a player like Kevion Huddleston. And I don't want to say that we're not worried about it, but he's got guys now in the system that he's got. This is year 5. So these guys were in 8th grade, these seniors, when he was there. And so he's basically had these guys almost their whole football career. So those bad habits and things that maybe that old coaching staff let go or whatever, that Coach Reardon's instilled with them and done a great job, that should start showing. And so he's had these guys in his program. They've ran this offense pretty much their entire football career. And I think that's a key for them. Now, I'm going to mention a few other names because I do think Kilgore, guys. We know they're going to be strong. They're only bringing back, I believe, 11 starters or so. Yeah, 6 and 5. So they've got some holes to fill. I think Lindell is going to be talking to Coach Cochran. He's going to be having some depth problems. I got to talk to him. But I think Lindell and Kilgore are still there for East Texas. I mean, because, you get tested in that district, and you're going to go make a deep run. So if the bracket falls right, you can ask Chapel Hill from a couple of years ago, got in that 4th seed a couple of times, and the pathway was just right, and they made a run. So it can happen. But I think, is there anybody else before we move to Division II, Corey? I know you're ready to segue over. Is there anybody else besides those 3 that you guys see that's state contender-wise?
Anna. Definitely Anna.
One of the sisters.
Okay. Melissa's really good. I'm going to say this out of East Texas. I'm going to say 2 of the schools out of East Texas. Watch out for Palestine, and definitely watch out for Center. Palestine projected to be really good.
Well, you're getting ahead of yourself, Corey, because Center's in Division II.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm still thinking 4A.
You're spoiler.
I'm just ready. I'm ready to roll.
I'm going to throw it to you. I'm going to let you start with 4A Division II and let you talk about Center a little bit, Corey.
Well, so since I put the cart before the horse, yeah, they're a dark horse. Division II is just loaded. You got the darlings at the top. You got Carthage and Gilmer. You can flip a coin and just guess which one will go. Like I said, one day I said, well, Carthage had an okay year. I don't think they were as strong as they were in the past, but they only went 15-0 or 16-0. So, but hey, that's just how it goes. But like I said, I don't want to get into too much in depth about those guys, but I will say, out of that region, I really like Center. I think Center is a they were a couple of overtimes away from advancing to a 4th round or 3rd round, I think.
One of the best games of the year.
They've got a. Say what?
Maybe one of the best games of the year.
Yeah, and I should have went to that game. I knew a kid that actually played for Melissa. He's a defensive lineman, but he's projected to be pretty good. But no, I think Center has a good chance of making it. And what I wanted to say, I just want to get it before I forget, and it's about Gilmer. I watched a lot of games. Went back and watched a lot of games that these guys have played. And I said, a lot of it has to do with not being just on the football field, but between the ears. If you watch Gilmer play, a lot of the games they played this past year, a lot of teams they took a couple of blows in the first quarter, and like man, the game is pretty tight. It's close. By the fourth quarter, they're up by 5 or 6 touchdowns. It's never a game in spurts. They play the complete game. They never get too high, they never get too low. They make plays and they play the complete game. That's how you know that team is coached very well. They don't get high, they don't get low. They play the complete game for 4 quarters. They don't lose a game in the second quarter, lose a game in the third quarter. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make mistakes to hurt themselves. That's how you win championships, and that's how those teams are always at the top.
Well, and Coach Metzel is doing a great job of kind of keeping the tradition started by Coach Traylor. They've had some coaching changes, but they've just kept rolling. Sometimes you go through and you have a really good coach, and he leaves to go to another job, and then the program suffers. But they've done a great job of finding the right guy that fits what Gilmer wants to do and continue the tradition on. Now, a team you didn't mention, Corey, that I want to mention that's got 17 starters returning this year, and this is their year to go. This is the year that Pleasant Grove could make a deep run. Now, we talked about how deep this region is. I mean, do we say the state championship game is won in Region 2 of 4A Division 2? I mean, I'd go out on a limb and say that it's a pretty good chance. So you've got for me, there's a three-headed monster for me. And you can argue of what order they're in. You've got Carthage, the favorite, everyone's darling. That's always going to be good every year in, year out. Gilmer as well. They've kind of been right behind Carthage over the last couple of years. But I think Pleasant Grove, for me, is a team I'm looking for. And I don't want to call them a dark horse because they're not really a dark horse. But they are of those two. They're kind of like right below the Gilmer and Carthages of the world. They've had trouble. They get paired up in that same region. I think Pleasant Grove, if they get the right path and they get Carthage on a day, maybe Carthage isn't at their best. Maybe it's Pleasant Grove's year.
I mean, it could be, but and they look good. They do. They on paper they look good. Ultimately, again, Carthage is present, so it's who can take out Carthage. It's going to go through Carthage. So Carthage is one of those teams that them falling off is not them slipping and falling. It's somebody who's rising above them, and that's really hard to do. Because they minimize their mistakes. So you beating them is you not making any mistakes, and playing above their level, which is again really hard to do. It's hard to pick outside of Carthage. Corey said center. I was thinking center too because I actually thought center could beat Carthage this year. If I had to go with a different team, I would. I want maybe Wimberley. I don't think it's him. I mean, it's hard. Like Carthage just stands out on the piece of paper to me. And
and Wimberley's not even in our area though, Vince. So you're really reaching.
Oh yes, I'm just reaching with them. I'm just thinking about anybody that might take that crown.
I'm gonna give you some help. Jasper.
Yeah,
I thought about Jasper, but
Silsby and Jasper both. They're on the edge of our region, in that Region 3, and Silsby picked 1, and Jasper's picked 2 in the district. So I think those two. I mean, that could be a state title. It could be.
They have a lot of guys coming back. It just
they have a middle linebacker that's a Texas A&M commit.
Gonna top.
Draylon Miller
or Carthage.
Draylon Miller for Silsby,
Gilmer, for that matter.
Yeah, Draylon Miller for Silsby, guys, is a game changer. I don't know if y'all have ever seen any film of him, but I saw a couple of playoff highlights last year, and man, when he gets the ball, you better wrap him up.
They played the Cuero game. They played against Cuero.
I think he was the one that got away. Yeah, he got away, and they thought he tackled him 2 or 3 times, and he ended up going all the way. I mean, it was insane. Like it was one of the best plays I've ever seen. And so
Jasper could eventually do something, and Jasper's not gonna go away quietly. They're like, to me, it's Palestine's Division I, Division II.
Palestine Division One, they're in the District of Doom with Chapel Hill.
That's
Yeah.
right. Like I said, I think they're like the Palestine. Well, I would say they're a little bit more. I don't know if they play this year. I don't know if they play this year, but I'd want to watch that game. That'd be a very good game to watch. But Jasper's not too bad. Jasper's pretty good. Jasper Silsby, that region's got. I don't know. You could throw a rock and get a good game. It's almost like the SEC, SEC East and West. That's what it's like. So
all right. Well, I think we've consensus here, guys. We've mentioned Center and some of these Carthage, Pleasant Grove, Gilmer, Jasper, and Silsby. I think are the head of the class kind of right now for Division II in the East Texas area. All right, so let's go on and let's look at 3A Division I. I know Corey's favorite team, or one of his favorites, is in this classification. I know he's going to talk about him, but I'm going to go ahead and mention Malakoff. Got a chance to try to get some revenge. And Corey, what do you think about the Koff's chances this year making a state run?
I think it may be their year. They've got a good opportunity to do so. Mount Vernon's losing a lot, so I would go with Mount Vernon. Winsboro could be the team to watch out for.
Kyler
they
Finney
surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, Kyler Finney just got an offer here a few days ago. I think he accepted. I can't think of, is it Harding? Can't think of off the top of my head, but Coach Finney and his son, the coach quarterback combination, that usually is a good combination. So I look for them to continue to be a troublemaker in that region. I don't know if they're a state contender, but they could give some people some problems for sure. That's definite. Just looking down here through some teams that are there. Atlanta's a team that's maybe not at the top, but they're a team that could give some people some problems. We're actually going to do a game in Brook Hill this year, Brook Hill versus Atlanta, so we'll get to see them live. I think me and Vince are calling that game, so we'll get to see Atlanta in action. And so that'll be they're interesting. Of course, you got the Burrows, you got Pottsboro there too. They were pretty solid last season. But I think if you're just looking to a team, I think the one above the rest in East Texas wise is Malakoff. I think, guys. I think they're the state contender. I don't know if they want a rematch with Brock or not, but they look to take that region and possibly get that rematch.
I had them over at Grandview, and they got their disrespect back over Grandview. That Grandview lost, and then they had to face against Brock in the semifinal game or the state run-up game. But Malakoff they've been tough for the past 5 or 6 years, and they've been on a roll.
Now I will say, Corey, they got a lot to replace. They have 3 offensive players returning and 6 defense, so they got a lot to replace. But it's one of those things. They're going to have the athletes. They're going to have the players to do so.
Always have athletes. They always have good athletes.
Yeah, Coach Driscoll does a great job there in Malakoff. I guess they're just pretty much one of those powerhouses in East Texas that just reloads, and they've always got something coming back.
They used to be like that in basketball, and I don't know if they're still like that in basketball anymore. But they used to be like that in basketball. But now it's football. Hey, it's East Texas. Go figure.
Vince, you got anybody to add in there, or anything to add to what we said on?
I mean, you already brought up the Burrows, like you said, Pottsboro, and Whitesboro in there.
Whitesboro and Winsboro. Yeah. You got lots of Burrows.
Yeah, and they were all kind of right there neck and neck. I think they all beat each other or something like that last year. Malakoff, I was not so high on Malakoff last year. I've been made a believer. So
drinking the Kool-Aid, Vince.
I'm not gonna say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm just gonna be quiet and let them play ball.
You're not gonna listen to good authority. I got good authority.
I'm just gonna hush. You know how Mama used to tell you back in the day. You don't know what you're talking about. Hush.
You're right. The grown folks talking.
Grown folks talking. Yeah. So I'm gonna let them have it.
Well, you mentioned Mount Vernon. They've got a pretty good player in Boone Morris. He's picked preseason defensive player of the year in 3A. So, I wouldn't count out Mount Vernon either. They've got a good system. I know they'll be maybe take a little bit of a step back after the caliber of players that they lost, but I think what's going to help them, and I'm trying to think. I should know this, but they had the injury early in the year. Mount Vernon did their star quarterback, but what that did is it
Oh
forced
yeah.
it forced their younger guy. What's his name? I'm gonna look him up because I should know this, but you know it went blank. I had it earlier. What his name was?
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was very early in the season when
yeah.
that happened.
So Mount Vernon, see, he's gonna be quarterback Ryder Bowers, and so last year he was forced to come in and play quarterback when it wasn't his year and
Mm-mm.
so he got extra snaps. So last year that hurt them a little bit, but now they're returning half and half of 5-5 basically, so about half of the offense, half the defense, but
Mm-hmm.
they got some starts for him, and so Coach George is looking to get that offensive experience that he's got now and be able to use that this season because he no longer has to try to get a new guy out there. He's unfortunately for them, which it's tough because when you lose a guy like they did at that point in the season when they're just rolling and having to put a young guy in, it's tough. It doesn't always happen like the Demetrius Brisbans a few years ago where you stick the freshman and he goes off and they just go. It doesn't always happen that way.
Nope.
But now he's got the snaps. So I look to Mount Vernon as maybe like a dark horse for me.
Okay.
They could do some damage.
Division
Tatum.
2.
Yes, Division Two. Last year we had a couple of surprises in this little region. I mean, we don't have Kyle with us tonight. He couldn't make it, but um, I need to get this. I need to do this for him tonight. Let's
Oh
let's
God. Here we go.
let's talk about harmony, Corey.
Harmony.
Harmony.
Can't say it right. See if you see you should have just gave me the cue and I would have said it's harmony.
Harmony.
It's
Okay,
with
there
the
we go.
it's the hard I from
I was
Boston.
gonna
It's
skip over
harmony.
myself, but all right, let's do it.
And
So
then of course my favorite name.
now, can we say
My
this
favorite
year, Corey, they're not going to sneak up on anybody though.
no, not at all.
I think
No, not
last
this
year
time.
they were the surprise. I think they're one of those teams, and I know we refer back to Chapel Hill, but remember the 3 years ago when they started off so terrible, they barely made the play, and they just hit a peak. They peaked at the right time. That was
Mhm.
a similar run to Harmony had last year. They
Call
peaked
one
at
of
the right. They
those
peaked.
wins last year when nobody else
Yeah, they peaked at the right time. And they beat a good Hooks team in the playoffs, which Hooks I think is another team that's going to be
Hooks, yes,
good.
that's what I was gonna
I look
say.
forward to
Hooks.
seeing. Yeah, I think they actually play this year during the season again. So I'm looking forward to that game. Hooks is going
That's
to
gonna be a
be
good one.
Hooks is going to be again solid out of this region.
Dangerfield.
by far I do have to do a name drop. By far my favorite name of all names in high school, Texas high school football, Boston Seahorn. Is it not one of the best names?
Boston Seahorn, man. And
Like,
and
is
guess
it not
what?
a cool name or what, man?
And
It's
guess what?
off the
He's
chain.
back. He's back, Corey.
Mr.
Along
Do
with
It All. Yeah, he's a junior.
Yeah.
I
Mr. Do
mean,
It All.
and that's the impressive thing. Like that group last year, this is probably the year they were supposed to make the run, guys. They had a great run, but I don't think anybody really was expecting it this year. Now, with what they have coming back, guys, I mean, man, the senior class to be, they've got a chance to do something in a lot of sports is it makes some deep runs. I mean, they've got, of course, you mentioned Boston Seahorn, and that's the one that everybody knows. But you've got um, Weston Seahorn as well. He's got a brother. You get the Seahorn to Seahorn combination. When you have
Mm.
when you and you know the smaller schools, when you have those brothers that can play on the same teams and they're good athletes, that's usually a good sign.
The only other Seahorn I ever knew was Jason Seahorn. That's it.
Now
But,
that
I mean, this is great.
The only Seahorn I knew.
now think about this, guys. The district they're in, man, they've got a tough district. That's a tough one. You've got Dangerfield, which is another team that's got a chance that's back.
Yeah.
You got the Hampton kid that's committed to Texas or recommitted to Texas, and you've got Wascom, and that's one of those that's Wascom's sneaky good, and you can't count them out. So they're in a tough district. I think that the top three there are pretty salty above everybody else, but I think the two Dangerfield and to me Dangerfield and Harmony have really good opportunities to make deep runs. West Rusk is another one. You know they've been good over the last several years. They're replacing their head coach. Coach Mata has moved up. He was the offensive coordinator. His son graduated and moving on to the college level to run track. But I mean, Coach Mata has got a lot to replace, but he's got a good solid foundation of tradition there at West Rusk. So they're looking to continue on now. I know they're probably not state ranked, but somebody to keep an eye on. I got to talk to the Troop head coach Sam Wells, and this is his year. He's got a bunch of seniors. We all know one of their best players, Trey Davis. His father went to high school at Chapel Hill, where we all went as well, and so he's being recruited all over. I mean, he's a 3-4 sport. I think everything he plays, he's good at. He's just one of those athletes can do it all. If he gets the ball in the open field, he's gone. They've got a 3-year starter at quarterback in Grayson Herndon. So they've got some pieces that this is Troop's year. And Coach Wells said it like this is his group. He's got a lot of seniors, a lot of experience, and they look to try to move up the district standings a little bit. I think last year they were in the fourth spot. But I look for them to compete with West Rusk and both be really strong in this region, guys.
Yeah, I think Troop. I think Troop is on the right track. Shout out to Trey Davis. Hopefully, he has a even better year this year. I'm always excited when these Texas kids get recruited, and it's a fun time for those guys, especially at the smaller schools. You don't want just one guy. Troops this will be a couple of guys, a couple of D1 athletes. They'll get recruited from Troop High School. So I mean, anytime you have a Division I kid in your program, a guy that gets recruited, you're on the right track. So you've got some good athletes, and this will be 2 in a couple of years. So they're on the right track, man. They're all right.
All right. So anybody else that y'all see in 3A Division II? I think for me, just my contenders. Right now, Harmony, of course, Dangerfield, Hooks, and I think Troop is right there with West Rusk. I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave those to be determined. I think they're both going to be really good, but are they state contenders? I'm not sure yet. Let's see how the preseason goes and see how they go into district. But I think they have a chance to be that. We may look at those guys that one of those could be the Harmony of this season. They could get a nice run in the playoffs, have some nice matchups, and move on. Anybody else that you guys see that you think are going to make the?
When you named them, that's it. Really, that's all.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
Hey, you
cleared
them all.
There's a lot of talent there, and then that's why we call it Beast Texas, and we love covering these guys. And guys, I think just in closing here. If you're looking for a place to get Northeast Texas sports, visit our website, netsn.live, and our YouTube channel, NETSN. Just search for it. We've got lots of content. We'll have lots of games. We have shows of our own that we have. We'll have shows throughout the year of all different teams. So just take a look at us, and we got you covered. I mean, we do everything.
We do it all.
So,
I'm sitting there looking. I didn't even think about Edgewood. I was high on Edgewood last year.
Yeah,
they were really good. That's another team. I didn't even think about them. They had a okay run. I mean, I can't remember who beat them, but I want to say they lost on like the last play of the game. I had somebody I worked with
like 7-1.
Edgewood kind of mentioned what happened there. but I think it was something like that. Like they lost on the last play of the game or something
I
like
think
that.
it was pretty
So
close. It was pretty close.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
yeah,
did some run
Edgewood
last
too
year.
is another one that I look to make a pretty decent run.
He pulled it out of the hat.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for our State Contenders show here tonight. Thanks to
We're gonna
Vince
do some
Boyer
2A.
for joining us. Oh yeah, we hadn't done 2A yet, have we? Man, I'm just
What are you doing?
What's going on?
y'all
You
just
just
go
gonna
ahead.
disrespect all the 2A like
You
that?
2A, well,
You got all the burnt orange on.
yeah, well,
We're just talking about finishing. What did
I'd
I just
already
talk about finishing?
here we
Got to
go.
see it through.
Here's the deal. I've already given 2A crown to the
Oh, of
Timpson Bears.
course. Here we go.
Timpson Bears. I guess I'd already conceded it to them. That's why I didn't even, go to
Consider
the
it.
go at 2A level. Is there anything else but busing them boys? We got to say anything else about Timpson?
Beckville.
Beckville.
I mean,
Definitely
Beckville.
yeah.
Hey,
We're not gonna
Beckville,
disrespect
man.
Beckville like that.
they play.
Don't do that to them.
Sorry, Coach Ross. I'm sorry. I got to meet Coach Ross, really nice guy. I think Beckville again. I do think they're going to be good.
I mean, listen. Jacoby Williams is a legit athlete. He's a 2-star basketball, not 2 stars, but he does basketball and football, and he's a Division I athlete. So do not skip him at Beckville. He is a star. Just letting you guys know.
Hey, another team that we talked about a lot last year, and it took you guys. I was on the train early with these guys, but
come on,
was Cooper guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and they made a nice run, and they gave Timpson some trouble early. Timpson did pull away, and they lost to Timpson. But I still think just watch out for Cooper. I think
much respect to Cooper. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Cooper. Yeah,
thank you, Cooper.
They ended up on my radar.
I had faith in you, Cooper. So just remember that. That was Brett's one here. I told these guys about Cooper. They weren't sold on him.
I think I watched Cooper play last year. I got to see it.
Yeah, I remember. I remember Vince coming from the Cooper game, and he had this great analogy.
I just, I was so inspired by watching them play. I was like, oh my God, I don't know who's coaching, but bro, they they on levels that I don't see in high school often.
Like Vince was coaching with his hands, he's like they hit him and they grabbed him and they took him in.
Yeah.
To me though, guys,
it was a good game. I enjoyed that though.
To me, it's a three-headed monster for East Texas, though. It's Timpson. They're the Carthage.
Yeah.
We talked about three-headed monster in 4AD2.
Mm-hmm.
This one's Carthage is equal to Timpson here. They're the ones that the darlings that everyone's going to pick. Beckville's right below them, and I think Cooper's right there. And it's going to depend on how the brackets fall and how they do, and when the matchups are going to be. But I think there's a really good chance, and I know Refugio is gonna be strong again. They got a lot of people coming back.
They will be.
But I think this is a really good chance again for this region. This is Timpson's year. This is it. Like after this year, I'm not.
Is he already committed? Is he already committed?
He has not committed yet. He is, as far as I know, he's still not committed. I'm still hoping for my horns here, but they're still on the list.
No.
But he has not committed yet. So, but I think honestly, this region has as good a chance to win state as they ever have. I mean, I think Beckville's going to be. They bring a lot back. Cooper's going to be good, and so is Timpson. So whoever gets out of this gauntlet of those three has got a really good chance.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah,
that's pretty rough.
Is there any?
You're not gonna give Carlisle? Any love?
Well, I will give Carlisle love when we get to 2A Division II, Corey. Since y'all are going to call me out on moving on without finishing, so I definitely will. I will definitely talk Carlisle.
Oh yes, I do. Okay, Joaquin is not Division I. I think they are Division I, right?
Joaquin?
Yes. Give a big shout out.
They're Division I, I believe.
They are Division I.
Yeah,
watch out for Joaquin.
I think that might have been who I watched. Joaquin.
You watch Joaquin. Joaquin is very good.
Joaquin plays. If I remember correctly, Joaquin and Beckville play in preseason. So
Jefferson and Joaquin are very good. They both can make deep runs. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned anybody else besides Bakefield. Bakefield's good, but
Yeah, Joaquin is in the same.
Jefferson Joaquin is really good.
Joaquin is in the same district with Timpson. Them and Garrison. Those three are the top of the group there in that
I
district.
like Joaquin's offense. I like how they run their offense. It just wasn't enough to get them as far
You
as
got
they
a
would
wing
like
tee? Is it a
them to.
slot tee? What is it, a wing tee?
It was more like it was like I don't want it wasn't a wishbone, but it was it was it kind of resembled it a little bit. I felt like, watching them play, like if they could implement more of the pass, it would be so deadly. Because the guy they had playing quarterback, and I can't remember his name, I'd have to go back to my notes from last year on that. But he was so good on the ground, and if you could put the ball in the air, you would make everybody back up. You'd scare that whole defense. But they played the game one way, and just minor adjustments like that, man, and you got a team that's going to take it all away, that with an offense like that. So I look for them to improve anyway. So
All right.
on to
Anybody else?
Division 2.
Anybody else y'all see in 3A Division 1?
Timpson. That's all that matters. Timpson.
I think I said it right from the beginning. I think we all kind of agree that it's Timpson's. I think it's their year to win or lose it. Like they've got a chance. They stay healthy. They don't have any injuries or something. They're going to have a really good chance. So now, Corey, 3A or 2A Division 2. Yes, Price Carlisle coming off an 11-2 season.
And who told y'all about Carlisle?
We all knew about Carlisle.
No, y'all didn't. I told y'all about Carlisle.
We knew about
Y'all didn't believe in Carlisle till I told y'all about Carlisle.
No, remember Carlisle? Yeah, you didn't. Because let's go back, because I had Carlisle very high in the polls, remember? And Corey was like,
I remember y'all didn't want to put them on the polls until I was talking about Carlisle. And then after they won that,
I'm gonna have to
game
go back.
Was it they won and everybody started paying attention to Carlisle, and I said, see,
I'm gonna have to go back and review the tape.
Have to go back to the notes. I'm telling you,
I can pull the old polls up, and I'm pretty sure that I had Carlisle very high.
Them up. I need to see them because Corey even admitted he owned up to it and said, "You right."
I got in trouble by Corey because I had them ahead of Malakoff for a while, and I got
disrespectful.
I got disrespected.
And Vince, you didn't have Malakoff on the poll. Oh,
I didn't. All that mattered was Carlisle.
So for me in East Texas, you got Price Carlisle and you got Tenaha. Are two that I'm looking at this year as having some chance to make some noise in the playoffs, state contenders. Now I think Carlisle's the number one as far as by far. I think they were turning 14 guys. Now the key is they lost Coach Clay Baker. He's now in Henderson, and so like we talked earlier, if they get the right guy, then and it continues and they continue to build on what they've done over the last couple of years, then I think Carlisle, nothing to worry about. They'll make a run. Now, there's such a deep 2A T2. You got Martin, New Home, and some powerhouses there, and eventually you're going to run up against them. And the question is, can they compete against those guys? But I think as far as in their region, they should be able to get to the region final and then see if they can compete to get out of there. But is there anybody else that you guys see that I'm not seeing in this area for us?
I mean, there are people that we don't cover. I mean, like Mark. But we don't really cover.
We did. So we did forget somebody.
Okay.
Well, number one, I'm gonna say Love Lady. Love Lady's got to be.
Love Lady.
They got to be up there. Let's not disrespect. They've had a hell of a season last year, and Love Lady's they're gonna be pretty good. So they went 12-1 last year. Love Lady Lions, got to give them respect.
Okay. All right.
I think they're gonna be up there. And all of this, Alto didn't play a single game that meant anything last year.
Yeah, and they tied for the district championship.
And tied for the district championship.
Yeah.
That mentioned Alto at all.
Well, because they can't make the playoffs, so they're not a state contender, Corey.
Well, they didn't make the play. They couldn't make the playoff last year, right?
They can't make the playoffs either year because their numbers were too big for this classification. So therefore, their punishment is they can't.
Well, they still are under punishment now.
Yes, until the reclassification.
Okay,
Now for other sports,
I didn't know there was an event.
yes, so other sports are not in division. So if they're in 2A, the whole together, then they're in the right classification. So there's no punishment there. It's just football that because they'd already done all the districts, they can't go back and
They were in trouble. I didn't know about the
Yes.
reclassification.
That is why. So
Got
once
you.
they reclassify here in the spring of 2024, when they'll do the realignment, then they'll be back eligible. I just feel bad
Shout out
because
to Alto holding you down.
that's
Yeah.
a tough situation because somebody's mistake has cost kids playoff opportunities and those chances, and you don't get those. Those are once in a lifetime. So shout out to them. But I think it goes back to Carlisle and Tenaha, and you said Lovelady, which they're on the edge of our zone. We'll give them a shout. They are a really good solid team. But when I'm thinking state contenders, I don't see Carlisle is the one for me. I think when you're looking at people that have a chance to make deep runs. You guys have anybody else?
I'm looking at it right now. I don't.
Yeah, I'm looking through, but I'm set on Carlisle.
Yeah. Well, and that's going to pretty much do it now for our state contenders show. We'd like to thank Grant Goodwin and Terry Bennett over at Sideline to Sideline for allowing us to do this show for those guys and L4 Media. We hope you enjoyed the segment. For Vincent Johnson and Corey Marshall, I'm Brett Swinney. You're watching the NETSN State Contenders Show. We'd like to thank you for tuning into this, and also go check out our content on our YouTube channel and website. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening, everyone.
Peace.